guys, so we got motor sitting here. We're gonna take it apart. I loosened some things. That way I can get this apart somewhat quick. So let's get this thing pulled apart and what is going on? So in today's episode, we installed a new big bore kit and install the head. This is gonna be very detailed, so I would suggest watching this before tearing yours apart so you don't get halfway through and realize you may need a tool or you don't quite understand. So make sure you pay close attention, leave a comment below if you have any questions whatsoever. Let's get into the episode. Welcome back to MOTO-VATION. Right, so we're gonna pull the ring out of the piston. So getting these out is always a little bit of a pain if they're not an E style clip, if they're just a C clip. And that one just hit me in the neck. All right, so this is a C style clip. So this one is kind of good still. I always just hold on to them just in case something happens down the road. And I'm just gonna push the wrist pin out. And there we go. And so this piston is like, has over 9,000 miles. So you can see there's a little bit of wear, nothing crazy. And you can see on the piston, there's no major wear. Oh, as I drop it almost. So, I mean, you can kind of see there's like a little bit of wear right here. You might be able to, but I mean, this has 9,000 miles. I mean, the top always is gonna look a little gunked. I'm 100% gonna hold on to this. Now we need to prep the piston. You're gonna look at this. You're gonna notice the intake valves, this intake side, the intake valves are larger and the exhaust valves are smaller. So this is the indication for the exhaust. So it's gonna end up going on like this. The rings need to be placed in the proper spots. Look at the size difference. That's crazy. 84 millimeters over stock, and this is stock. So this is a 286 piston, also the same as 249 piston. We got our new wrist pin, our new piston, and we got some assembly lube. This is not 100% synthetic, this is semi-synthetic. So this is good for assembling. So we're gonna take some and put it on here, and we're gonna lube it up, and it will slide all the way through. I did end up putting just a little bit in some spots. So before you put the piston in, you're gonna need to put a C-clip in. My fingers have a little bit of lube on, so I'm just gonna put that inside there. Going to take one of these, going to install it. All right, so these are a lot more difficult to get in than traditional like Honda ground ones. So I'm not sure if you can see, but I'll point it out with this. So there is a notch right here. This is kind of, you're gonna kind of weasel it in and around. And then once this is in, you're gonna want to slide the gap to the opposite end of this. So that way it doesn't have a way to spin and move it or pop out. The little side, the arrow, is gonna point that way. So we're gonna put this on here. And now, I'm gonna put the other one in. This is gonna be fun. Make sure the wrist pin's all the way in. There comes the struggle train. So it's really hard to see, but it's not all the way in there. And I'm showing you this because I don't want you guys for it to be like that. So all you do is you just slowly pop it in and slide the ring around to the other side. All right, now we need to caulk the rings. All right, one thing I want to make sure you guys all do is put paper towels or a rag or something inside here just in case you drop something, it won't go inside. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to lube the living crap out of this for the purpose of not having any issues. And then if you put a little much, in a sense, I try not to do crazy amount. I do enough that it keeps the rings in their place. And then you want to get it on the skirt. Going off of the specifications, I'll put that on the screen. You want to make sure that the rings are at 120 degrees like it says. And as it says apply engine oil to piston ring grooves and entire surface. Did that. Carefully install piston rings into the ring grooves with markings facing up. This was already assembled, so I checked the markings, everything's the way it's supposed to be. And then it says do not confuse the top ring and second ring. Like I said, don't need to do that. To install the oil ring, stagger the piston ring end gaps 120 degrees apart from each other. Stagger the side rail and gaps as shown. Apply engine oil to the piston hole, inner surface, and sliding surface. Try not to stick my head in the way. Spin this around and 120 degrees approximately. The upper needs to be 120. This one's a little bit more difficult because the oil rings, these lower ones, are a little bit more difficult to move. And so the three lower rings, the very bottom ones, they need to be within 0.8 of an inch, so a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch away from each other. So I hope you can see, but I will point this out for you. So there are a bunch of rings. There's technically 5 rings here. So there's an upper one, which this one needs to be straight forward. Then this one right underneath, move that over, you can kind of probably see it, goes right here. Then what you can't see is the very upper ring of the 3 goes here, and then the other one goes about here. Now that we got all of this in its spot, let's go ahead and take the rag out. Let's go ahead and take our base gasket. I've already cleaned all this. I'm gonna wipe it down here in just a second prior to putting this on. So this is your base gasket, and I'll try and find it on Amazon to link it, but tub of towels, highly suggest it. It's good for a lot of uses. This is not an ad, this is just awesome. I seen these online, and then my buddy Adam got them for me. Shout out to Adam. Granted, my hands aren't very dirty, they're just oily. So I'm just making sure that oil's off there. And then we're gonna go around and we're gonna wipe all this one final time. And if you look at this, you're gonna notice it only goes on one way. So, it goes face down like this. Flip our piston up so we can pass it over. And then, we're going to pass our chain through. Try not to damage your base gasket doing this. Alright. Fumbling a little bit, but I got it. This only goes in one spot. And we're going to pull these out. Alright. So as you can see, this is still a good jug. We're going to hold on to this. First thing first, Can you tell me what time it is? Oh, it's big time. All right, so you want to make sure you take your jug and put assembly lube. And make sure that the assembly lube gets on all spots. So go ahead and take your finger and get it messy. Make sure to finger it up really well. If you have to use 2 fingers, 3 fingers, you have to use your whole fist, whatever you want to do. However you like it. Make sure you get this nice and lubed. Get your mind out of the gutter. I can see you typing on that keyboard right now. Something perverted. And I want to show the difference. This almost fits inside, and that's the outside of this jug. So that is crazy. Look at that. Now it's time. There we go. Make sure that the guide doesn't get in your way. This is the fun part. And when you do this, be careful not to scratch anything. You gotta be careful that the ring doesn't pop out, because it will. These rings are a whole lot more temperamental than a Grom. There are tools for this, and I know I'm gonna get told about it. You never want to force this. Do not force this. Alright. And like that, the piston is in. So tips on it, just take and have patience. Looks like it took about 3 minutes. Now, we're going to make sure the base gasket is clean and in its position. Alright, and then we're going to make sure there's nothing underneath. Push that on. And take your little mallet, give her a little taps. Our locator pin. We're going to wipe this excess bit of assembly lube off the top. I'm going to take our Cometic head gasket. Go on here. Alright, so we have our new head that has titanium retainers, dual valve springs, heavy duty valve springs, stainless steel oversized +1mm valves, ported and polished. Pretty aggressive job at that, which I'm super stoked about. So we're going to loosen all these. Now we need to put the rocker arms in. I pulled the pins. I used a magnet. Make sure you use this magnet. Just stick them inside here. They pull out after you have pulled these out. They're marked intake and exhaust. I pulled the shims, put them on for that head. Now that we got the shims in their place, these in their place, I'm going to make sure we put assembly lube. So this is the intake side. We're going to, well, first we're going to put some assembly lube on the side the pin goes in. And I'll also put a little bit of assembly lube on the roller and the tips of these. Just get that slightly finger tight. this one, put some lube on her. Slide this partially in. Same with this. Put this plug in. Just make sure you use the actual copper gasket. Alright, so we're gonna tighten these in an X fashion, and it's gonna be to 12 foot-pounds first, but we're gonna just snug them up. So first things first, just get these tight by hand. Then we're gonna go 12 foot-pounds as the first one. Okay, so that clicked. Clicked. Now we're gonna go to 34 foot-pounds. All right, that's 34. 34. And we'll just check, make sure this is right. All right, 34 foot-pounds. Then we got these two, these 9 foot-pounds piece. Oh, be very careful. This is very sharp. I just sliced the crap out of myself. No one makes me bleed my own blood. Now we are ready for the cams. And like I said, they are marked. This one is intake. Same thing, we want lube. And this was the intake side. In the right spot. What? Same with the exhaust. Line those up. Now, we want to make sure that the motor is still at top dead center, which it is, or the crank is. That. Okay. And we're going to do that with this. Alright, so I didn't film putting it all together because I had a couple like issues getting it together, and I'm gonna have to take it apart anyways because I'm gonna have to re-shim everything, I'm sure. I haven't checked that, but so the thing that you should know is the bolts inside the head here, the two little 10s. The two little 10s go to 9 foot-pounds. Each one of these black ones go to 9 foot-pounds. And the 4 initial head stud nuts go to 12 foot-pounds, then 34 foot-pounds. So you do the main ones in an X pattern, and then on these you go in a X pattern and you start from the middle. So here, 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 here. But it is late and I'm gonna put on the temp sensor and the tensioner later after I check the actual valve clearances. I'll do that tomorrow. Other than that, I am done for this evening. Wish I had a little bit more time to be working on stuff, but currently I do not. So check back later. First off, thanks for watching this far. I know that was a lot of information. Go ahead and click the link above so you can get caught up on the previous episode if you haven't already. So in the next video, we show you how to check clearances and set your valves. But other than that, drop your questions down below and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.